Hello, and welcome to the Sexuality and Gender in Manga podcast, where we apply a critical and academic lens to depictions of human sexuality and gender as they manifest in the medium of manga. I am Ren. I hold a degree in psychology from the University of Waterloo with a minor in sexuality, relationships, and family studies. I volunteer with the Sexual Assault Support Center in the field of crisis intervention, and my partner on this podcast and in life and love in general is Dr. J. Andrew DeMann, an associate professor of teaching at St. Jerome's University and an Eisner Award-winning comic scholar who studies and teaches manga at the university. Hello, darling.
Hi. Coming to you live from our new recording studio.
Yes, our fancy new closet.
It's a closet.
It's a closet. And at some point we will come out of it.
Black Butler.
Black Butler.
Black Butler is a manga written and illustrated by Yana Toboso that began in 2006 in the pages of Square Enix's monthly G Fantasy and continues its run to this day. Set in Victorian London, the series follows the exploits of the titular butler, Sebastian Michaelis, a demon that formed a compact with a 12-year-old Earl, who also doubles as a detective in service of the Queen. The series is known for its juxtaposition of dark mythic lore with a sort of Downton Abbey-ish exterior. It is also known, however, for the raw sex appeal of its asexual and a human lead. And there's a whole lot for us to talk about there. As an aside, Black Butler is also singled out by scholars on the subject of fictional food, as that features prominently in the story. So think like Dungeon Meshi before Dungeon Meshi. Yeah. So where do you want to... This was your rec. I feel like you should walk us through Sebastian.
Okay. See, I wanted to do research on this because I feel like somewhere out there, I just haven't found it yet, but somewhere out there has to be like some kind of research study on why people are sexually attracted to individuals who are asexual. And like what the motivation is there, because they don't want to fuck you, but they are hot. They are so hot.
Wow.
Anyway, but people are very much investing themselves sexually in individuals who are asexual, which, like, from the evolutionary psychology standpoint, does not make sense. Well, it's true. Evolutionary psychology is a sack of shit. And it is just... sorry to any of our viewers who enjoy evolutionary psychology. It has some interesting theories, but the majority of the things that I find it bases itself on is actually current sexist conceptions of what women and men should be, and therefore I think there are a lot of flaws with it. Also, like, evolution doesn't always make sense, man.
We haven't evolved for 200,000 years.
That's not true.
Why are we still talking about it?
That's so untrue.
It's true.
It's untrue. You're just not up to date on the meta.
I don't even like Zuckerberg.
What? Oh.
That's a good joke.
Ha 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 ha. Such a good joke. Anyway.
Asexual.
From an evolutionary psychology standpoint, the question would be, why do we want to continue sleeping and having sexual interaction with people who cannot reproduce with us because it serves no genetic purpose? Right. Obviously, outside of that, there are emotional needs that might be being met, or alternatively, just like physical attraction. It's a whole thing. It doesn't have to make sense. Also, asexual people can have sex. They just don't particularly want to. So, you know, there's a whole messy gloop there that is not well studied or investigated properly. Yeah. Because the thing psychology is currently trying to pull apart is why asexual people exist, which I think is the wrong approach, because who cares? They exist.
Yeah.
There doesn't have to be a why. Sorry, sometimes my approach to science investigating individuals and sexualities in the LGBTQ plus community is, does it really matter why, or does it matter that they exist? And so often I think science gets caught up on the why of things occasionally, that it forgets that there can be inherent harm into answering those questions. For example, if there was a genetic component to actually being gay and we discovered it and we were like, this is the gay gene, that would probably lead to fewer gay people and like epigenetic crap.
You made an elegant segue
I
to
did?
my research contribution.
Oh my god, great.
Okay, so in a 2023 study, Hannah Tesler and Canton Weiner suggest that, quote, heterosexuality and romantic relationship formation are fundamental to hegemonic masculinity. We find that asexual and aromantic men face cultural pressures and social stigma around initiating sex and performing romance. Asexual men must contend with managing a sexual identity that runs counter to men's supposedly innate sexual desire, thus situating them as inadequately masculine. Aromantic men, meanwhile, must manage inhabiting an identity that is conflated with the fuckboy/player trope, situating them as excessively masculine. This study demonstrates how centering asexual and aromantic perspectives reveals complexities in the ways hegemonic masculinity relies on participation in both sex and romance. Mm-hmm. So the underlying theory here is basically that asexuality fucks up our understanding of human sexuality and
so cool.
gender portrayal. Exactly. Now, going a step further, because I have two little bullet points here.
You have 2 bullet points? Oh my god. Two.
That's more than I use for most lectures. Sebastian can thus be seen as very disruptive to established paradigms, both as a demon and as an asexual aromantic, who may be those things because he's a demon. At the same time, Sebastian's ability to leverage those sexual expectations for his own benefits, he's aware of the effect he has on people and he uses it, is a key part of the series. That his visual presentation has the same effect on the readers thus creates another layer to this process, a metatextual disruption in which the audience is implicated in processes of unreciprocated desire. Thus, it's kind of cool that he's this asexual, as you said, highly desired character.
Yeah, no, I'd fuck him.
I mean...
Not with you around. Like, you'd have to die first.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I wouldn't initiate your death in any way, I promise. Yeah, no, I do think it's a fascinating and interesting concept because the writers are very much aware of the sexuality that he wields.
Yep.
And it is very much a key plot point at certain points in time. Like, he uses it to get what he wants out of women occasionally.
Yep.
Or to be persuasive and have his way, and he doesn't ever like shirk the advantage that the sexuality inherently brings him, but he so clearly is not interested.
Right.
The only thing that boy wants is let me finish. The only thing Sebastian wants is Ciel's soul, which is like kind of hot another way. It's nice to have a man with ambition. Sorry. You're the academic part. I'm the casual part.
Is that a jab because we're not in a proper recording studio? We're just in a closet?
No.
I want a man with ambition.
Bitch.
Take me beyond the closet. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't have an ambition for a recording studio. That's a waste of money when we have a closet.
That's a lie. Everyone wants a recording studio.
I do not want a recording studio.
I used to watch MTV's Cribs.
Okay, well.
It was a flex. Okay, so... Did I interrupt you? I don't want to be a dick.
You're already there, though.
That's true.
Buddy, so,
yeah.
I do think one of the things that is a component of sexuality that we often don't talk about, especially in regards to men, because we conceptualize them of having like just this pure physical, puritanical sexuality. But like sexuality is also based off of the emotional presentation of another person, and ambition does play a part in that. So is it attractive that Sebastian is very single-mindedly obsessed with Ciel's soul? Maybe. That is definitely a part of it. Like, if he lost that particular goal and ambition, is he as attractive as a character? Probably not. The dedication that he has to that is part of the appeal of him. The idea of someone being so obsessively single-minded with one particular thing in mind, and that happens to be Ciel, who his entire world revolves around, is inherently attractive. People kind of want that in their own romantic relationships in some extent, just at least as like a fantasy, not necessarily in real life. I like to have hobbies and, you know, the time alone occasionally.
Is this you being passive-aggressively resentful that I brought you on this podcast?
No, I
good.
love this podcast.
I'm teasing.
Why are you being so mean to me today?
You're right. So,
this is my partner in life and love who's a dick to me all the time.
The closet of punishment. So my question, and this will show how little I know about human sexuality. The traditional logic in, I believe it's called evolutionary psychology, is that a lot of our physical responses are designed to indicate desire, right? And that those desires are then reciprocated back and forth until they amplify to the point of connection. So how does asexuality fit into that model? Or as you said already, maybe it just doesn't. Why would you be attracted to someone who is not showing signs of interest in you?
Maybe it's somebody's kink. I don't know.
Could just be a kink. Alternate title for our podcast. Could just be a kink.
Well, I do think that that's a very narrow-minded conceptualization of sexuality, because as we were just talking about, there are emotional components to sexuality.
Right.
Like, you can even have a relationship with two people who are sexually engaged, but like just not with each other, but they have a fantastic, wonderful, fulfilling romantic relationship that meets all of their needs. Or in any relationship, there are periods where maybe the sex is happening a lot and maybe it's not, for different life stressors. The attraction to that person doesn't necessarily fade, though, due to the different life stressors. What happens is that it becomes a different thing entirely. It becomes an emotional connection, and still inherently sexual in some regards. You still have an attraction for that person, but the ways you're fulfilling that need are different. So I think the thing that we don't talk about often is that, like, asexuality doesn't like turn off the rest of the person.
Right.
They still have a body which people can be attracted to. They still have a plethora of emotions and feelings and responses that like are inherently attractive. They might be meeting the needs of other people around them, but even then that doesn't matter, because they're still a fucking independent human being and they can just want their own shit. It's not all about what purpose they serve. The purpose that they serve is that they exist, and I hope they're happy. Yeah, sorry, I feel very strongly about this. I do think that science occasionally nitpicks things to the point of obscurity, right? Like, there doesn't necessarily have to be a purpose behind asexuality for it to exist. Perhaps the purpose is that it exists at all. Yeah. And that's delightful and beautiful and wonderful.
I like to think that science nitpicks to the point of getting tenure. That's the... People will sometimes ramble on about things that are not really necessary to study because tenure.
I hate that you're right.
I know, but it's true.
It is, yeah.
So I guess my only follow-up question to that, because that makes a ton of sense to me, is do you think that the absence of sexual desire isn't just something that they're working around, but something that they're actually drawn to? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, does it have an innate desire?
Yeah, dude. I feel like this is an overused metaphor, but like it's also so true. No one understands wanting to be seen as a human being first and primarily more than a parent who has just had a child.
Right.
Like, there is a strong need to be seen as a human being first and foremost, and that does fill a lot of gaps that we might have in our lives, and that is inherently, in my opinion, somewhat sexual as a component, right? Like, it can go the other way, where we feel over-sexualized, and that can be fun in certain circumstances, but very frequently that isn't a long-lasting duration or relationship, and it doesn't lead to the things that fulfill us in our lives. Like, even if you have someone who is fulfilling your sexual needs and on a physical basis, you still have to have friends,
right.
and family and people who care about you. So asexuality still fulfills those needs, and I hope people who are asexual are having their needs fulfilled too. Okay. And I do think that's kind of wholesome about it, is that like it encourages us to see each other as people first and foremost, and not our bodies and what they can do for us.
I like that.
Yeah.
So the suggestion then would be that Sebastian as a character, because he doesn't have this sexual capacity, he's not going to use you for sex. You're going to... Yeah, and that makes him weirdly sexy. Yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah. He'll use you for other things.
Exactly.
But, it's inherently wonderful and attractive. I do think one of the things that is perhaps worth discussing, but also fascinating is his use of sexuality and awareness of it. As we're going to circle back to that one, because I don't know how realistic or unrealistic that is. I myself am not asexual, so I can't speak to that experience. I do know that people who are asexual have sex, not necessarily because they want to, but because it serves utility and purpose sometimes, or because they feel like it's needed in a relationship that they've decided to maintain.
Right.
So my question there is Sebastian's use of sexuality to get what he wants from other people inherently a good representation of asexuality in general? Because on one hand, it is showing that they can engage in sexuality and that they are capable of having those interactions. It's not like they, have lost a limb somehow. And again, they're still full.
So I have a theory on Sebastian, and you can tell me whether or not you think this is valid.
Yeah, sure. I was gonna anyway.
Oh, good, good. So I would argue that the way Sebastian uses sexuality, whilst not being subjected to it, almost puts him on a higher plane as a demon. The idea being that, human beings have this silly sexuality thing that I don't experience, and I can manipulate them with it. So I think it actually characterizes him as a subhuman, which I would argue is offensive to asexual people. And I don't think intentionally. I think that's just a consequence, an entailment relationship with the metaphor. But also B, it sort of presents him as an evolved version of a human being, which stands out in other aspects in the story. The way that he can run the whole house better than the other humans, right? The way that he can protect Ciel in ways that others can't. So no, I think it's getting entangled, as I said before, into some of the other key elements of his character.
Yeah, there are definitely positive attributes about it. There are definitely negative ones. In general, I think my stance. I got very gay for a second. Only in my head, though, so it's
Only
fine.
in your head.
Only in my head. You can be gay in
I'm
your
still
head.
alive.
You are still alive.
Sorry, go ahead.
I do think that there sometimes is positivity to the way he manipulates other people. I do think it is also somehow, in some ways, degrading. I think it's entirely up to the person who chooses to identify with it or not. In general, I'm going to say Sebastian is not a representation of all asexuals,
No.
which no one character ever should be.
Yeah.
I do think there are some things that Black Butler does really well in terms of representing him as this, singularly motivated character by something that is not sexual. Yep. But then also we can make the argument, and I think we're gonna circle back to this, that Sebastian, the way he craves Ciel's soul could be interpreted as very hypersexual in a lot of different ways.
Again, the obsessive nature of it.
Yeah,
and there's
some. Do you want to talk about the
what?
The parenting and the also the not parenting and the romanticism?
Oh yeah, I think
we get into that point now.
Yeah, let's talk about daddy issues.
Daddy.
So
oh god, I hope my parents don't watch this.
so the relationship between Sebastian and Ciel is coded as parental very overtly and directly. It's often framed in that way. He describes him as a son.
Yes.
But, as mentioned, he obsesses over him, he nurtures him, takes care of him, and also has this fanatical desire for him. It's hard not to read that as being erotically coded on some level.
Especially
even though I don't want it to be.
Yeah, especially when...
Sorry.
It's okay. It's just the voice crack was funny. Especially when there's such an intimacy in the routines that Sebastian performs for Ciel, helping him get dressed and feeding him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's also you can kind of see that Sebastian is pushing for Ciel to have kind of a full-fledged life so that his soul is tastier. He encourages the... It's true.
I know, I love that.
Give me that tasty soul, boy. So he encourages Ciel to have a full-fledged life that is full of romantic attraction, and Sebastian pushing for Ciel to have a relationship with Elizabeth.
Yep.
Both in terms of him experiencing joy in some capacities. We actively see Sebastian pushing for him to celebrate his birthday, even though that's something Ciel is very vehemently opposed to. Or to go on a picnic with his one true love and all that stuff. So it is fascinating how that takes on both a parental aspect, but then also like is Sebastian fueling that himself or attempting to, because the ways he interacts with Ciel are very inherently sexually coded in a lot of different ways, like the way he touches Ciel and gets up in his personal space and like quite literally is licking his lips around him sometimes.
Yep.
And is that attraction to the soul that Ciel has, because it's definitely not to the physical person, but there is like commingling there, you know what I mean? The way that it is presented, there is physical attraction, but obviously also not. It's kind of creepy, but like it blurs some lines.
Yeah, that's actually what I want to talk about, is because we've talked before about how manga, for very complicated cultural reasons, does tend to sexualize teenagers. But we've talked almost exclusively about teenage girls in that capacity. But we're talking about a teenage boy here. But there's, I think the element that we need to consider when we talk about these things in parallel is power. And Ciel, as a male-presenting character, has a different power relationship, and as an earl, and as a what do we want to call it, servant to the queen. Like Ciel has a lot of power, and I think the series actually emphasizes that in the scenes where Ciel pulls up his eye patch and commands Sebastian, and Sebastian has to do what he says. So I guess I'm saying, is this less creepy? Is it differently creepy? Is it potentially more creepy, the way that we're presenting the sexuality of a minor, a child?
That's true. I have a quick question. Did the one that you read involve Ciel cross-dressing?
Eventually, yes.
Okay, good. Because I want to talk about that as well. There is also some dubious intent there, because I think the way in which Sebastian sexualizes Ciel in some capacities do increase when Ciel is female presenting, because Ciel occasionally does dress up as a woman or a young girl for the sake of cover in some capacities, and there is a lot of gender fluidity in the way Ciel is presented.
Yep.
So there's a lot to unpack there. A lot. A lot. In general, I do think, I think something that, for me at least, helps establish a boundary. I do not think under any circumstances that Sebastian would fuck Ciel. You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's a very clear endpoint to that attraction, and that it is about the soul, but also the ways in which it's presented are inarguably a little creepy.
Right.
Just the obsession and the ways in which Ciel is a minor, and really, even if we're looking at it from the presentation of Sebastian is obsessed with Ciel's soul, Ciel's like, what, 12? I don't think he can...
Somewhere between 12 and 14.
Somewhere between 12 and 14. I've met 14-year-olds and 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, we spent a lot of time with some. And they should not be making decisions about whether to sell their soul to the devil or not.
Right.
And it's just, yeah, so even in that relationship, it's violating arguably consent.
Yeah, and we should maybe add as well that the idea of a compact with a demon, aligning with the idea of taboo of sexuality, or the idea of in ways in which sexuality commingles with demonic imagery in our culture.
Yep.
And always has. Like, it's a core part of Christian iconography. To have sex is to make a compact with the devil, right?
Yeah.
So there's ways
that deals with the devil. Sorry.
There's ways in which that demonic relationship is sexually coded as well. So again, like as you said, there's an entanglement here. There's a lot of things in play. I just want to flag again that we're talking about an underage character, but it might genuinely be a little different, him being male. But I don't know. I don't think it makes it necessarily better, but I do think it changes some of the power dynamics.
It changes the social scripts, I would say.
Yeah.
I do think that, unfortunately, societally, we do have a stronger predisposition towards men who boys, being different inherently, and in some ways closer to men, and able to consent to things that they absolutely are not.
Yeah, we often celebrate 15-year-old boys losing their virginity. Like, people tell stories about it, and they're like, woo!
Or situations where if the genders were reversed, like, let's say that a teenager having sex with someone who's in their 30s, right?
Right.
The gender of both of those people matters in terms of the social script. If a young girl were to have sex with a man in their 30s, then there is kind of like a pedophilic, or well, not kind of, there is pedophilic
literally
accusations thrown at them. But if we turn it to a teenage boy and an older woman, then there are some people who would condone that because they're looking at it as, ooh, get it, boy, I guess, which is kind of concerning.
Yeah, there's a Saturday Night Live sketch that is just that. It's Pete Davidson on trial for having sex with his teacher or something. He's just like, it was awesome.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate, right? Because like, not only are we continuing to create a space where women cannot feel safe, like coming forward about sexual assault and other things without fear of being further victimized. There we go.
Yeah.
Victimized. My brain was doing a thing. But also, like, we are creating an environment where men are never believed, ever, right? Because even if they come forward and say this horrible, awful thing happened to me, other people are going to tell them that it was good.
Yeah, exactly. The culture tells them that it was good.
The culture tells them that it was good, and that's horrific, right? Like,
and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, men and boys are more likely to withhold reporting sexual assault than women or girls are.
Yep. Men are also, more likely to actually follow through on suicidal attempts and ideation because they don't have strong social networks because societally...
They're not allowed to.
Yeah, they're not allowed to. Patriarchy harms everyone.
Yeah.
And I do think sometimes we hyper-focus on the ways in which it harms women, and we need to, in a lot of different ways. It is absolutely fucking brutal. But there are distinct consequences for men and young boys in these situations as well, and ultimately our goal should be creating a world where that no one has to go through any of that shit ever. Which seems like such a hard concept.
Simple idea.
Yeah, a simple idea, but hard to swallow for some people.
Okay, so going in a, I think, positive direction, I would like to make a sort of tongue-in-cheek argument. I would argue the first chapter of Black Butler is pornographic. The way that Sebastian puts together that dinner.
Yeah.
I feel like that is somehow a sexual fantasy.
Yeah, but you're also so highly food motivated. I guess
That's true. But again, so is the fandom around Black Butler.
This is also true. Food is sexy, man.
Yep.
People have feederism, whatever. Is it feederism? I can't remember. People feed each other things sexually, and that's okay. But also, you are super highly food motivated, my guy. I didn't even have to try. I was just like, here, have a Coke and some sushi, and you were like, nice.
Nice.
Nice. I'm gonna keep this one.
Putting that one on my list. But I guess my point here is that Sebastian's, like, moving outside of the asexuality, I think Sebastian's sex appeal is largely based on his competence.
Yeah. Because it's hot.
The role that he plays of Butler, the one who figures everything out, makes miracles happen, which is a strange term to use here. He's just hyper coordinated, gives everyone the correct instructions. Again, beautiful food, beautiful setting, beautiful ambiance. I actually think that first chapter is really interesting to me.
Who doesn't want someone who is highly capable at everything they do and then is also dedicated to your existence entirely?
Right.
That's super great, bro.
And wears little white gloves and comes when you ring a bell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ideal.
If you wore white gloves and I could ring a bell and you just appeared as if I don't spend like 90% of my time with you anyway,
right?
That'd be kind of fun.
Did I hear resentment in your voice when you said?
No!
I'll play it back on the mic. No.
You're being such a dick today.
I'm sorry.
Am I the one in my luteal phase or are you? Jeez. Christ.
So, other things about Sebastian that lend to this sort of sexy appeal. Because I do think he's an iconic, sexy manga character.
Yeah, he is.
So it's worth talking about some of the other things. His hair.
Yeah, the hair, it does it.
Yeah, no butler in Britain in the 1900s had hair like that.
No, absolutely
That is not period accurate hair.
Nope.
but
that
it's
man
for
uses gel.
Yeah. And it's working for him.
It is. He has demon magic. The first miracle he has ever performed is his hair. End sentence.
His demonic nature we talked about a little bit, but we could specifically connect it to other things too, like his capacity for violence. He's not a defeat the criminal and reform them kind of guy.
He's a I'm gonna fucking kill them kind of guy.
He happy when he gets to murder.
Yeah, he's very happy. So am I. So I do kind of wish you had been able to see the relationship between Grell and Sebastian, because it is fascinating. Are you familiar with Grell as a character?
Yep.
Okay, great. Perfect. Grell is a Grim Reaper who is absolutely obsessed with Sebastian.
Ooh.
To the point where, like, they sometimes intentionally try and separate them from Ciel, and then, like, will do Sebastian's bidding, and Sebastian uses sexuality against Grell because Grell is, like, obsessed. Grell is also, like, very gender fluid in a lot of capacities, just in terms of presentation and the aspects that they choose to present at any given point in time. Sometimes they position themselves as, like, being very in power, but then also at other times their, like, main objective is being the subservient object of Sebastian's whims. So it's just fascinating, and that is also presented as subhuman in a lot of ways. Like, Grell quite literally has shark teeth, buddy. So it's true, and is this, like, death-obsessed person. And then, in some ways, the sexuality that Grell ports is very much worth discussing as well, because it's seen as weak and inferior in some capacities, a tool to be used in a lot of ways, but also in some regards a strength, because it gives Grell the ability to, like, be excessively violent with purpose. So yeah, I think we might have to revisit this with an understanding of Grell.
Black Butler 2.
Black Butler 2.
Our first sequel.
That's not true.
What have we done a sequel for it?
We haven't done a sequel for it, but we are going to read Dick Fight Island 2.
Dick Fight Island 2?
Dick Fight Island 2.
Okay.
And we will be doing that first, so help me God.
So, final thoughts on Black Butler?
It's good. It's fun.
It's different.
It's different, and it has, like, a cult following, and it kind of should.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that cult following. It was one of the first animes I watched when I was, like, a teenager. So, yeah, it's good.
My thought, maybe I already telegraphed it, was just that I think it's very unique. And I think that's what I really like about it. Like, sexuality is a part of that uniqueness.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's doing things and saying things about sexuality that other manga are not doing or saying.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, like, I don't link it to a trend. I don't say Black Butler is, you know, just like this other manga, and this. No, it's not. It's its own thing.
It really is. And I think what makes it brave and unique in so many different ways is the asexuality of some of its characters. Because, like, even in a culture where, like, homosexuality is not accepted, asexuality is even kind of, like, further down the rabbit hole of we really shouldn't be doing that. Even in Western society. Like, in Western society, asexuality is not well understood or accepted, and that's kind of horrifying in some ways. So, yeah, no, I don't. My final take on it is that it's interesting, and that I still would unabashedly sell my soul to Sebastian. So, you're not dead yet. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Up next, Mav, because he's great, and I like him. I like talking to him.
Mav is very smart, and he wants us to talk about the God's Lie. Okay. And that is our podcast on the subject of asexuality and Black Butler, coming to you live, but not from our closet.
Thanks for listening, folks. Hope you enjoyed. We're all just on a fucking rock hurtling through space.